Today is April 11th. This is probably coming out sometime later, but with us is the, I guess now former Georgia Tech outside hitter, Julia Bergmann, who's about to graduate. This is going to come out graduation weekend. So, first, congrats. I assume you make it across the stage and you don't trip and fall or anything like that. So,
Oh no, I hope I don't.
but first, I guess preliminary congrats for getting through Tech and all
Thank you.
that. Although I'm going to restart from the top. We're going to do a classic intro to start the pod. Give me your name, year, and major.
So I'm Julia Bergmann. I am, like you said, a former volleyball player, fourth year, and I'm an applied language and intercultural studies major with a physics concentration. Long story short, I was a physics major for 3 years, and I just changed 2 semesters ago. So
Wow.
I'm basically half physics major from Tech. I like to mention that, but yeah, I'm getting a degree in Alice.
What does go? Man, I didn't know many physics majors, but I guess what gets you to go? I've done this for 3 years. Let me do the switch now instead of just going through for the last bit of it.
Basically volleyball.
Gotcha.
I wanted to, yeah, start playing earlier, and it would have been a lot to take 20 hours of physics in the last
Physics.
semester.
I mean, people know that Georgia Tech is no easy beast, but physics at Georgia Tech is a particularly different kind of beast. I was in the business school, and
Hmm.
I know I had the easier route. I won't sugarcoat that at all. Um,
Oh well.
well, let's go back to the beginning. So pre-COVID, pre all that stuff. What brought you to Tech? Like, what was the thing that caught your eyes? Like, oh, maybe I should do college here and play volleyball here.
So basically, in Brazil, if you want to play a professional sport, you can't just do college and volleyball at the same time. So I was looking at options, and the US were one of them. So I just started looking into it, and I had my official visit at Tech, and I just loved it. I mean, I love the campus, I love the people. It's a great school. I mean, I was gonna get great education with the sport I love altogether.
Yeah,
What else could I ask for? It was perfect. It was one of the best choices in my life for sure.
nice. How soon before you came or started classes did you tour?
It was maybe 6 months before,
6. Okay.
around that.
I think I think I toured. It may have been a year in advance actually. The U.S. circuit to tour is like some parents are like, we're doing this freshman year of high school. Like we're just gonna
Oh
start
no,
knocking it.
that's so early.
It's early. It's a lot. I'm glad I waited a while, but it was still hard to get here. What was I know? So I know it's particularly for the non-revenue sports and swimming and y'all and women's basketball too. More the recruiting process is a far much more of an international gambit. What were your first like? Did Tech come to you? Did you go to Tech? Like, what were those first interactions like?
I mean, Mari, that played on the team like what 1 year and a half ago
Mm-hmm.
now. Mariana Brambilla, she's one of my really good friends. So
Mm,
she was here a year before me. So I was talking to her. She was explaining it to me. Then I basically got in contact with the coaches right away. Then I just started talking to them, and it kind of went naturally until I visited, and then I committed to Tech.
so basically, it's Brambia's fault that all this happened. Okay,
Yes, because
that's.
of her, I ended up here.
Did you have any other schools in mind, or was that just once you started talking to Mariana about that, it just made it that easy?
I mean, it made it easier, I would say.
Yeah,
It was just the first school I loved it here. So I was like, why would I look for something else if it's just so cool here?
yeah. No, I agree. Atlanta's the best, so I think you made the right call there. Was there any particular culture shock, or was there like just some initial like, oh, I got some things to get used to when you first got here?
Mm, I mean, definitely it was very different. Volleyball was also different. I just had to adapt a little bit of my playing style and how to interact with people, especially with the language barrier at the beginning.
Yeah.
It was sometimes I couldn't understand what the professor was talking about, but besides
Everyone
that,
has
it was
everyone
like
has that
not bad.
problem. Even if it's English to English, everyone has that problem at Tech.
Oh,
Don't
good. I'm glad I'm
yeah.
not the only one.
Um, what was the first class you went to? Mine was a very boring math class, like Calc one.
That
I'm
was
like, I already
history. It was
history.
like history of the US.
Oh no!
We
Oh, you had
do
to
we
start
do a little
there.
bit of, yeah,
I
I
forgot you have
know.
to
It
start with
was
that. If you're from Georgia, you basically forget that happens because you do that in like I think you get the credit for that in early high school or something. So none of us.
I
I
definitely
forget
didn't.
about
I
that.
had to learn all of it.
Oh no! I am. I guess I'm sorry. I don't. I think our history is kind of
It
interesting,
was
but
fine. I really
okay.
liked my professor.
Okay. Cool.
It was good.
Um, and then on the volleyball side, I know that freshman year got became a stir because the NIVC run and all that. So you're coming to the U.S., starting classes at a not particularly easy place, learning a history that isn't your own, and then you have a championship run all in the process of that. So I mean, what were those like? I guess what was that, November, December? What was that like? Couple months stretch like getting your first feel of like, okay, got to get ready for finals, and got to get ready for pretty big matches here.
Well, it was definitely a lot at the beginning, but the good thing I always had Mari by my side, and like my other teammates were helping
Mm-hmm.
me. But definitely there were some weekends where we were just studying all night long
Oh boy.
for that, yeah, history test, because I had to remember everything from the entire semester. But I mean, it was fun. The team was really fun. It was the first time I've played like on the team
Mm-hmm.
like that for an entire season, and we won the NIVC even though we didn't make the tournament. That
Yeah.
was a really memorable moment for me too. But just winning that NIVC championship and proving to everyone that we should have been into the tournament was
Yeah.
also just a big step for
Yeah.
the
No.
program.
That was I mean, what it was you that Aaron was on that team, Breland's there, Maddie's there,
Yeah.
Kayla's there. So like the core was there, like
Hmm.
the main stalwarts from the tournament run a couple years down was there. Did y'all like gel as like a particular like, hey, we're just the young people on this team, we kind of have our own thing going on versus the older folks, or was that kind of a everyone's all included regardless of the year?
I mean, we knew that age didn't matter because we wanted to win together. So I feel like everyone was just supporting everyone, old one, young ones at the same time. And it was just so nice to see how we grew as a team and as people during that period of time. So I
Yeah.
think that was the most interesting part.
That I remember because I think I got to campus a year before you, and
Hmm.
volleyball at that time, football was still kind of basically it's still the main thing because we still had Paul and everything, but I don't think volleyball had necessarily caught on with just the general like, oh, this is just what we're talking about, and then that team definitely got there, and I definitely think catalyzed a lot of like, okay, no, you have to like go to volleyball games, you have to make sure you're ready 2 hours before because there ain't no seats in O'Keefe to, at all unless you're just there early. So I think y'all did a lot there. Um, and then I assume you're just training through 2020 until you can't train really in 2020
Yeah.
and the world ends. So you have all that, and then you only have, I guess, 2 months of like normal tech where you're not playing games, and then the world ends. So, were you on campus when that happened? Because I know that it really started stopping during spring break. So like, what was that like week and a half for you? Like when we found out, oh, this is not temporary.
So I was actually living at the dorms at that time, and we were practicing
Mm-hmm.
normal, like 6 a.m. spring practice at that year. And out of nowhere, everyone was gone. Campus was empty. We were supposed to fly home. There were no flights. Everything was, they were trying to close the borders. It was
Yeah.
just, we didn't know what to do. I think we booked the flight like for 2 days. So we were in our dorms. The next day we're in Brazil. Everything was locked down. And just
Oh
to
man.
think about that, like half of my college life was basically with restrictions for COVID,
Yeah.
which is crazy. I have like memories from 2 years ago, and it's when we were playing the spring season because
Mm-hmm.
they had pushed it back to the spring. It was completely different times. And, I mean, it affected volleyball too. We were not allowed to practice without masks. We had to
Yeah.
test like 3 times a week. And that was just, it's crazy to think about now because
Yeah.
everything went back to normal.
And O'Keefe is possibly the worst building in the entire campus for to like do a crowded event with minimal ventilation. Everyone gets sweaty and sticky, even in the crowd. Like if you go to a 5 set match there, you're sweating, regardless of how what the outside temperature is like, which is part of the allure. But so did you go? So I guess you got to Brazil. Were you in Brazil for a few months then, or through that summer? Or when did you come back to Atlanta?
So I stayed in Brazil for like 3, 4 months, and then I had to fly to Mexico to quarantine there for 2 weeks
Oh.
because it was not allowed to go from Brazil to the US directly. So
Oh.
basically, we had to quarantine in Mexico for 2 weeks and then fly into the US and quarantine again for 2 weeks in a hotel. So I was in quarantine for a month straight.
My goodness, was that like your entire July then? I guess if we were back
Yeah,
in August.
around that time. Yeah, yeah,
That's insane. I moved to my parents'
yeah.
house 30 minutes away, and that. Oh man. All right. That
No, not gonna
was,
lie. We went to Cancun. We got like an Airbnb close to the
oh
beach,
well,
so we
that's
were
good.
allowed to go to the beach at least. So it
Okay.
wasn't
All
that
right. All
bad.
right. You made the best of that. Okay. That's good to know. So that and then the 2020 and then the fall 2020 seasons of the weird schedule. It's just ACC teams and all that. What was your did your game day, well, how did your game day process change from what you normally would do?
First of all, we were staying in separate beds, in separate rooms in the hotels. And usually you like play music in the room and you like talk to each other before
Mm-hmm.
the games, and you couldn't do that. And you weren't allowed to high five. That was the weirdest
Oh
thing because we
man,
go around high fiving everyone.
that's every point. That's every point. Yeah,
You high five everywhere. Sometimes I walk around people and I'm just high five, and it's so
yeah,
weird
yeah.
because I'm so used. It's like muscle memory, but that was definitely a big change. And then the locker room, of course, we weren't allowed to sit so close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd was so small everywhere we went. There weren't people allowed at some places, and it was just very different. And that was then when I realized, oh, it's actually so fun when O'Keefe is crowded and full and
Yeah,
loud, and
yeah.
that was yeah very different.
How did that? I guess did you feel like you had less emotional energy in those games, or just less of a kick in the butt to like, okay, let's go get these matches, or how did that feel comparatively?
Oh yeah, for sure. If you have a crowd, it's definitely different than when you haven't, like if you don't have one. Sometimes you just
Yeah,
need that momentum coming from everyone else, like that
yeah.
excitement. It really helps you during the games too. And if you don't have that, if you don't have people watching and like cheering, sometimes it's really hard to get that energy from someone.
Was it ever in your mind that at any point a match just might not happen, no matter how far down your process you go? Like that up to the minute before, like, oh nope, we're not doing this.
Yeah, I mean, it was scary. Sometimes you're scared to go to the supermarket because you're thinking, oh, I have a really important game this weekend. What if I get COVID?
Yeah.
And it was just living with that fear the entire time. It was really different.
Was there any part of how you got ready for those games that like stuck that you kept in terms of like the actual pure volleyball, or was it just once we got out of that part, it was back to where you were before?
I think I pretty much went back to what it was before, just because yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty much the same. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said.
Did you have the feeling with classes and everything that the online nature just felt, was that just awful just in general? I think I had one semester where everything was purely online, and I had plenty of friends that were like they just tuned out completely at some points. It was that one of the struggles that you had with along with I guess the
Yeah,
rest of
for
campus?
sure. Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, of course, if you're after practice, you're just gonna sit on your couch and watch the class. You're not gonna pay attention as much as if you were in the classroom. I think
Yeah.
that really changed. And yeah, but it was also nice because you could just stay in O'Keefe, watch your class, and then walk
Yeah.
home. You didn't have that rush to run to class.
Right.
That was
Yeah.
also nice.
That's true. I could not imagine doing physics online for a whole. That would kill me. That would kill me.
But the nice thing was my both physics labs were online, so I didn't have to go to like labs.
That's
Like
helpful.
chemistry, physics labs were online, and I was just doing that on my computer at home, and I didn't have to walk around and
That
like buy lab coats or anything.
that's helpful. Yeah. No. I always that was the part that stuck to me the most. I'm like, okay, if you are a full fledged like material lab, like this is gonna be the most difficult for those people.
It
So
is. I see our freshmen doing it now, and I'm like, I'm so glad I did that before.
yeah. And then, all right, let's get out of that awful year. That year sucked. 2021.
Okay, yes.
Um, 21 the 21 team was just super stacked. I mean, everyone was really looking forward to seeing y'all play. And I think the results panned out pretty all right relative to the other years. I don't remember off the top of my head how I think that was tied for. It was at least top 5 best all time tech teams for how far they went. Um, did that feel like, oh, this is the year to like make something happen?
For sure. I mean, that we just felt it at the beginning of the season. Our team was so in tune. Like everyone was just playing with such energy, and we would look into each other's eyes and just feel, oh, she's with me, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what happens. I mean, since the beginning from practice, and then when we traveled, when we played, and you could just feel how it was different. And I mean, the
Yeah,
results just show that too.
yeah,
But yeah, it was definitely a great year. And it was basically the entire core team that we had in 2019 when everything started had
right, right.
stayed. And that was such an accomplishment for everyone. Coming from not even making the tournament to making it to the top team in the country, it was just
Yeah.
I was so grateful for that.
Was there any teams that you thought you couldn't beat if you had a shot?
No, that was like we knew we could beat everyone at that point, or
Yeah.
at least we were that confident that we knew if we played our best volleyball, we could beat any team that came in front of us.
Yeah, I remember. I remember that Louisville game, and yeah, it looked good. At least on TV, it looked very competitive. And I did that. How did that feel? Because at least the worst part about that, I would think, is you're in Louisville too, so they're playing a home game in of one of their biggest games ever. So like, what do you remember from? Actually, let's go back to the Ohio State game because that one was huge too, and I think really put y'all on the map more than any game besides the Louisville game. So what were the feelings like after winning that? Where did that put you mentally in terms of like, oh, I've got to play at a level that I maybe haven't played before? Because there's only immensely tough games ahead of that.
I mean, of course, you're going into the game thinking, "Oh, I've played them so many times before, and I know that team. I really want to beat them. They're from the same conference."
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's a little intimidating when you walk into that big gym and it's full. It's full of red. It's everyone there cheering for
the
Louisville.
worst
I mean,
color.
we had a couple fans too, of course.
Yeah,
It's the worst color, but yeah, I mean, it was a great environment. Even though it was Louisville, it was just great to see how many people supported volleyball. Just knowing that there were so many people there to watch volleyball too, not only to see Louisville or us compete.
yeah,
So I think the game was. It wasn't one of my best games. I'm gonna admit that, but Mari played really well. It
yeah,
was her last college game.
yeah,
So there were a lot of emotions going on before and after the game, but it's definitely a moment I'll remember forever. Just being able to be in that position of disputing like an Elite Eight spot. But yeah, that game beating Ohio State was just showing that where our program had like what level it had reached,
hmm
and it was just like showing everyone what Georgia Tech volleyball really is.
Does Coach Collier prepare like is the preparation the same from her to y'all in those big games, or is there just the general sense of like, oh boy, this is it? Like we've got just of I don't know how to frame it. But you get the mentality. It's like, nope, you got to do it now. It's do or die.
I mean, we go into every game with that mindset. I think she does a really great job of telling us every game is a game. You shouldn't think of a maybe worse team and underestimate them.
Mm-hmm.
But she definitely has great pep talks and she draws all those motivational quotes, which is really nice.
Nice.
But yeah, her motivational speeches before games, they're great, not gonna
Yeah.
lie. It really pumps you up for the game. And before that game, she was telling us like I said, it was just, oh, look at where we got. Look what the privilege that you can be playing in this big game in the full arena.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just great feeling.
Yeah. At that point, I think it's at least from the outside view, you and Mariana were definitely the faces of the team at this point, and the face of women's athletics at Tech at that point too. Was that something that you, I guess, thought about or like involved in how just you thought about playing at Tech, or did that was just like a okay, that's just there. I'm not really worrying about it in the context of what I'm doing at Tech.
Kind of just happened. People just started stopping us on campus and wishing us good luck before we headed to Louisville. And it was everyone was watching. I mean, everyone that I knew had the TV on during that game, and even people from other teams like
Yeah.
basketball and swimming. Even we had swimmer friends that drove up to Louisville for hours and watched the game and drove back that same day. And just seeing the tech community supporting our sport,
Mm-hmm.
it was great. And then yeah, so many people that we didn't even know watched volleyball were there.
Yeah. I think I saw somewhere I saw that the sport that's grown the most in terms of viewership on ESPN has been NCAA volleyball. So
Mhm.
it's doing that, and I carved out almost too many hours to watch volleyball this past fall. This past fall, but it's a good product.
Yeah.
Okay, after the tournament's done, I get that I guess that spring semester is the first time you're getting like a full normal semester on campus too. So like, what was
Mhm.
kind of I guess digesting Atlanta properly for the first time? What was that like?
It was weird. I mean, just having to go to classes, like every single class in person, you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't just watch it online.
Yeah, yeah,
It was definitely different. But it was also nice because you were just seeing people, you were meeting new people. they came up and talked to me sometimes. They're like, "Oh, I watched volleyball, and it's so cool that you guys are here in class now with
Yeah.
us." But yeah, I mean, it just felt good to be back to normal and be able to experience the full college life, I would say.
What parts? I was raised in Atlanta, so all the various niches
Hmm.
and crannies are all fun to me. What was there any parts of the city that you're like, okay, I'm finally gonna go do that because I haven't had the time to go do that, or it was closed for a long time, or oh, I've heard about this other place. Let me go try this out while I got the time.
Well, I would say I've seen every single tourist spot you can see in Atlanta, and I've explored every single part because I really like traveling. So if I can't travel to another city, I will just walk around here. So I mean, I've been to all the museums.
Mhm.
I went to the basketball game after COVID for the first time.
Oh wow,
That was like my first NBA game, or my first actual pro basketball
yeah,
game in my life. So that was really cool.
nice.
I've been to the
Yep,
Mercedes
yep.
Stadium too, to watch our team play. Was the time we played Clemson, was it last year? Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
it was
last
last year.
year.
Yeah, last year. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. So that was really cool. What else did I do? I've been to so many places. I really like to explore. But me and Mari just walked around, honestly. Even during
Hmm.
COVID, we're just doing all the parks and walking around
Yeah,
the city. But yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything else right now.
those are good. I mean, I'm at Mercedes Benz a little too often too, so that hits good for me too. Let's fast forward to this past season. So you're down Mari, you're down Maddie, you're down Kayla. Thankfully, you don't run into any of them in other games. Um, but the team was still really. I mean, our expectations, at least at our blog, were like, this is still a stacked team. Like y'all didn't, you maybe lose Mari and Kayla's ridiculous serving, but beyond that, the Bella was really good in the center. You
Mhm.
still got Paola. It's all you got all the pieces you still need.
Mhm.
In a when you transition a roster like that, does that change how you approach your role in the team? Are you just instinctively thinking, okay, there's something I got to change my game a little bit here, or is it let me wait and see what pans out and see what coaches think I need to do more or less, or how does how does that work for you?
I mean, definitely change is hard for teams sometimes because you just have to find your rhythm again as a team. So we had a bunch of new players coming in. Our freshmen are now it's our junior class.
Yep.
It's so weird to say, but it was just everyone had to step up their game. Everyone had to assume a role they maybe didn't have to assume before. So you have the pressure on you, and of course that's different. But definitely, I think we handled it very well. Very well. Bella stepped up. Bianca stepped up her game
Mm.
too. The new girls Tam came in. She did a really good job. I think she's getting better and better even now, and definitely going to be one of our big players this year. I'm
Yeah.
really excited to see how they do. Um, but yeah, you just have to rebuild the team, and sometimes that can be hard at the beginning. But I feel like we did a good job during the season and also during our preseason games, and just getting into that.
Yeah. Did how soon into the season, or did you know before the season that you were gonna you were gonna move on after that?
Yeah, I knew. I knew before the season. I After I played with the national team in the summer, I mean I knew I wanted to play professional since the beginning.
Yeah.
So opportunities, yeah, were coming, and I'm just ready to
Yeah.
go live this life of pro volleyball after college, after my bachelor's degree.
Yeah. How soon did Coach Collier beg you to come back after that?
She knows. I mean,
Yeah.
she knows. She was in that world before. She
Yeah.
lived it too. She was overseas, so I think she understands from the volleyball player perspective.
Yeah.
I would say I would love to stay another year, but I think there are just other things I want to do in my life too, and it's the time now.
Did
And I know the team can handle it.
they definitely can. It was you're leaving it in very very capable hands. Did play I guess knowing that this was your final set of matches, how did that feel for you match by match? Was that different? Did that feel different than your norm than the past 3 years?
And for sure. I mean, it's sad because every single game you have, it's one last game that you're going to play in O'Keefe and this great environment. And you just have to go into every game thinking, oh, maybe it could be my last one. And that gave me a little bit of extra motivation. But I think just Michelle letting me play a couple of points now in the spring games is also very fun
That was
because
cool.
I can play a little bit more here. We have one more against Georgia this weekend, and I hope she puts me in again. So maybe that'll be my last game, but definitely just experiencing the crowd one last time is it's great.
I was driving to Florida during those first matches, so I really hope she puts you in so I can see you play at least one more time. Cause
Okay,
that would be
I'll tell her.
um, were you keep that final year? I mean, obviously the scoring system changed some years ago, so how the leaderboard, the all-time leaderboard stack up will always have some asterisks in terms of like how what kind of style volleyball is getting played. But you still were climbing up the kill leaderboard throughout all of this past year. Were you keeping track of that at all? Did that matter to you at all, or was it just, well, I'll just see where I land? Who cares?
Well, the only time I was sad about that was the game against Florida
I was
State where I
about to
needed
ask about
one
this
more
game.
kill.
I was about
One
to
more
ask about
kill. It
this.
was like, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
no, that was the only time I was really thinking about it. I was like, oh, dang, I needed one more ball to like
yeah.
have the record attack. But the other times I really didn't think about it. It just happens naturally,
Yeah.
and you're not gonna think, oh, I have to kill this ball because I want to move up the leader list. But
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, it just
Let,
happens.
let me ask about the FSU game. Because I loved your post game interview about that too. I'm just like, I just wanted one more. That was, I love that moment. But also just the nature of, okay, that was a match that I'm guessing y'all felt just did not start the right way at all, and I think y'all knew y'all were capable enough to beat them. Um, tell me, tell me just what the mindset of, or how you transition your mindset in a reverse sweep situation of how you go from, okay, I'm down 0-2, it's the do or die, but even further compressed where it's point by point to that point. So, what are those kind of games like to play through?
Um, we were just thinking we're not going to lose this game. Like we know we can beat them, and I think it was just that we just huddled. We were all together, and we said, "Why are we playing like this? That's not our team. That's not how we play." And I think it just from that point, everyone was like, "Yeah, why are we playing like this? We can play way better." And it just changed. Sometimes it just happens quickly like that,
Yeah,
and this time it worked.
just mostly a mentality. How much? Well, yeah, that fetches this question: how much of going through a set is mental versus execution?
A lot of it is mental. You really have to. That's why sometimes we prepare before the games. Some people listen to music to calm them down. Some people talk to each other. You just go through everything you want to do during the game in your head, and definitely a lot of it is mental. That's
Mm-hmm.
why we also have some routines that we do every time before a game. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's part of the game.
Yeah.
And I think you just have to handle the mental part as well as you do the part on the court, as like volleyball wise. Both are really important.
Did that Florida State match feel like career defining? If I'm gonna encapsulate your whole, if you were to encapsulate all of what I did at Tech, did that match feel like the one?
Well, it was the most points, so that was crazy to me. I was like, "Oh wow, that's a
Yeah,
lot of
it's a lot
points!"
of points.
And
It was a lot.
like, I hope I get it one more time in my career or even more often, but that's going to be hard. But for sure, I'll remember that game for the rest of my life, especially because we went to the gas station after and we just bought a
That
lot
that
of.
that is a if that isn't a gas station deserving game, there are no gas station deserving
But the
games.
thing is, at that point, I wasn't eating any sugar and no
Oh,
sweets, so I could only buy salty things. So I bought
oh, that
like
sucks.
I don't know. We couldn't buy candy bar. I bought like gum and chips, and that was it. And everyone was carrying the chocolate and
Oh
eating it in
no.
front of me. But yeah, it
Do
was great. It was
do
great.
I have no idea. I haven't played volleyball like in any real capacity, but I've played some sports. Do those five setters, like, are you just completely gassed at the end of those? Like, how
Oh
are you
yeah.
feeling physically? Or is that just you're done? Okay, I kind of, you can kind of tell on TV, but every point feels equally intense the entire way from the first one to the 300th or however far down the line you are. But so that's still completely draining, I guess.
I mean, right after the game, it's not like your adrenaline level is so
Mm-hmm.
high that you are just still going right after. But then you
Right.
shower and then you feel the tiredness, and you just get on the bus and you want to sleep,
Yeah.
or you just want to put your legs up. And but definitely sometimes after games, you're just so hyped up that you won, or that it was such a great game, and but definitely you feel it after for sure.
Yeah. The Marquette game. I talked to Kali about that game afterwards, and it was very curious. She told me that was the only match this season that she felt like got out of hand. Like that just there was something weird about the game. Is like that was the wrong day to play. Did that feel the same on the court, where it's just like that one was? I didn't really watch this one that close, so I'm fully taking this off of what you experienced. Of just did that just feel like we just didn't have it that night?
For sure. I mean, we knew that we could play way better than that. We all knew it, but like I said, there wasn't that switch of just saying, "Oh, we just have to play better than that, guys." And it was definitely one of those games that you just couldn't, and it was the wrong day and the wrong moment to do that.
Yeah,
Sometimes it falls, it's just a day like that, but that was definitely, yeah, it was very sad because we all knew we could have done better, but yeah, it happens.
yeah. Did oh, man, trying to think of any other matches I thought. Oh, the at Pitt game. That one felt like also a very even though it was a loss, it felt like y'all had gotten to a new level in terms of like, okay, how well y'all can compete on the road at teams that beforehand they played y'all played McCamish, and that Gabe was amazing to be at, but it felt pretty one sided for a lot of that game.
Mhm.
Going back and I guess improving a little bit on the road again. How what are those mentally? Does that feel like do those games feel like victories even if they are losses? To where it's like, okay, we're playing a lot better than we were before. I can see, and both of y'all are title favorites at that point too. So like, what are
Mhm.
those matches feel like for you?
It's just very sad when you lose. I feel like those matches that are very intense and are so close, they feel like do a fifth set and it's 15-13 at the end. It
Yeah,
just feels worse than if you lose really bad, I feel
yeah,
like. Because if you had done one more thing right, we could have won that game. And you keep thinking, oh, if I didn't hit that one ball out, we could have won. I think the pressure of that loss is higher than if you just lose 3-0 and
yeah,
fast. But it was definitely a really intense game. Like you said, we were playing at their McCamish,
yeah, yeah.
their big gym. It was full of people, and Breland had a brilliant
Breland was
game. She had like
incredible.
as a middle almost 30 points.
That was
It was
incredible game.
crazy. It was so great to see because I've seen her since my freshman year and how much she's grown as a player. That was one really nice part about that game, but it was definitely a hard loss for me
Yeah, that would.
personally.
Yeah, it sucks. I wish. Yeah, that would. I remember watching the. That was one of the games where like it wasn't like I had shell shock after the game, but it was like, okay, it's gonna take a minute to digest
Yeah,
how that
yeah.
at least that's just on TV too. Like they did a pretty good job portraying like how intense that was and
Hmm.
getting a sense of what you're telling me here. So season ends, tears, that playing further the second round, but in your final semester, what were your priorities just in terms of getting soaking in the last bit of tech you're gonna get as a student?
I'm definitely studying. I'm taking 21 credits right now, so I have a lot of
That is
schoolwork to
ridiculous.
do.
What? That is that's unfair.
You
That's
gotta do
unfair.
what you gotta do to
Yep,
finish.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So since I want to play this summer with the national team, I couldn't extend it one more summer, so I had to finish the semester. But studying as much as I can, any free time that I have, doing homeworks, but also practicing and enjoying the last moments I have with this team.
Mm-hmm. Did were there any? I know you mentioned you visited a lot of Atlanta stuff. Were there any things you wanted to knock off your bucket list before you leave? Which I imagine, whatever volleyball future things you have probably won't be Atlanta based because we don't have a pro team yet and all that.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. I've been enjoying the time that it's warm and going to Piedmont Park. I know some other little parks, some secret spots here. I've been trying to go to a lot of symphony orchestra
Ooh, nice.
concerts because there's a college pass. So I pay like
Oh,
one
that's
dollar per
nice.
concert,
That's really cool.
but that's what I'm doing. And I mean, yeah, just going to restaurants I've never been before and going to some that I have and just trying it one more time. But I know I'm gonna be back,
Yeah.
so it's not that sad.
What's your favorite restaurant to hit up regularly?
It's gonna sound bad, but I love Chick-fil-A.
No, that's
I'm
not an
gonna miss
incorrect.
it so
That's not
much.
an incorrect answer.
I'm gonna miss it so
It,
much.
it's
Yeah.
that good though. It's that good. It does that to me as well. What of the last? We've gone through a lot of games and other stuff that's happened in the last 4 years. Is there any particular moment that has stuck out the most in terms of the first thing that you associate when someone says Georgia Tech or the volleyball team or anything? Is there a moment that sticks out at the forefront?
Um, that one selection show where they put us at 8 seed.
Oh,
That was just, I don't know, everyone was so happy and it was so nice. And we weren't expecting the 8 seed. I mean,
yeah,
we knew we were going to be in the tournament, but it was just, we're going to play the NCAA tournament at home.
Yeah.
and everyone that supported us along the way is going to be here and be able to watch it. So that was definitely my favorite moment.
Was that a surprise to y'all at that point?
I mean, it was, but not really, you know?
Mm-hmm. Y'all are keeping. Do y'all keep track of the national landscape and how other teams are doing and all that kind of stuff when you're playing, or is it just focused on what y'all are doing?
Basically, you just look at the results sometimes when the game is playing, but we don't really have time to watch it because we're on the road when they're also
Yeah.
playing. We're
Yeah.
doing school stuff, going to classes, but definitely, you know, who's doing well, and we definitely know the rankings, and yeah.
Yeah. Couple more. So looking forward, is there what do you want to remember about Tech when you're playing volleyball? Just where I assume you'll play around the world because Brazil's team is top notch team. So and I do not want the U.S. to play y'all because I don't think it'll end up well for us. But like, what about Tech do you want to carry forward the most?
Just the people. I met so many great people while I was here. I made friends for life, and I mean that's the greatest part about sports. It's you get to travel, you get to meet people, you get to learn so much from each other. But that's definitely one part I'll take with me. It's my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What all about being an alumnus are you looking forward to in terms of just like you'll have that stamp that like yes I got out of Georgia Tech, like what part of just being a person in the world as a Tech alumni do you look forward to?
I mean, I can just tell people I have a degree from Tech. Do you need more? I'm
Dude,
just gonna
you
say yes.
yeah
I have a degree from Georgia Tech, so that's by itself. It's great already. Everyone knows around the world it's gonna be Go
yeah
Jackets,
yeah.
and it's so fun.
I may be asking something that you don't have the answer to, but do you plan? Do you have any dreams of like coming back here and coaching here, or being a helpful recruiting tool? I mean, you'll be in Brazil, I assume, for some of this. So, at the very least, we have a representative down there. But does any of that even remotely on your mind at all?
I would definitely want more people from Brazil to be able to have this opportunity that I had to just be able to come here, get a college degree, because I know it's really hard to do that in Brazil and
Yeah,
just be able to have this life-changing experience. Because I was one of the first ones from the national team that actually came here and showed that the level is good and that you
yeah,
can come back and play in the highest level. So definitely I want to show people that it is possible that doubt it, and that's one of the missions I want to accomplish. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's all I've got. I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out. A 21 credit hour semester is like that
it's a
is
lot,
for those that
but
for
it's
those
almost over.
I know you're so close. For those that didn't go to Georgia Tech or did, and the modern day tech experience is still very hard, but 21 credit hours is a level amongst itself. So, if anyone, I'm kind of not surprised you would take it up because not many people have worked harder than you on Tech's campus the last few years. So, all applause to you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Well, thank you so much. It was very fun.